Let me tell you how I built this awesome boat shop. Hi, this is Joe. Welcome to MotorCity Boat Works. If you're new to the channel, well, I'm restoring a 1986 Albin 27 family cruiser. But this week, we're taking a little detour from the normal boat projects, and I'm going to talk about the boat shop. This episode is part 2 of how I built the boat shop, and this week we're going to talk specifically about how it was constructed and some lessons that I learned. In the last episode, I talked about how and why I built the boat shop and 10 tips on how to make your boat shop awesome. This is something a little different than what I normally do. There's not many boat projects involved here, but it's simply about the shop. I hope you stick with me because I will be discussing what it costs to build MotorCity Boat Works. So the order of build went something like this. In September 2020, I had my initial walkthrough and my first estimate delivered by the building company. They began construction as soon as the first frost was officially over here in Michigan. That was sometime around March of 2021. The builder had an excavator arrive at the site and kind of start flattening out the job site, making sure everything was ready to go. Because the boat shop sits behind my house at a lower elevation, it was originally about 15 feet lower than the house and the driveway. I had to have a driveway built down to the boat shop, and that required kind of a lot of landscaping, a lot of earth moving. This would ultimately prove to be an additional expense. Getting the terrain prepared for any sort of driveway extension or what I now call the boat yard, well, that all requires effort, and it can be an extra cost in addition to the building. About a week prior to them arriving on site with the workers, material started being delivered by a giant semi-truck and a forklift. They started piling up materials in the backyard at the build site. So around the end of March 2021, the builder arrived at the site, had a crew of guys show up. It's a family-run business. These guys were all sons of the owner, brothers to each other. They were like a happy, merry band of gentlemen. And they set to work building my pole barn in record time. I would say that it took probably a week for them to actually get the building from the ground up. And it was waterproof, minus the front door, inside of 2 weeks. Once the shell of the building was completed and the roof was on, well, essentially the building was done with the exception of the floor and the garage door. So the next stage was the builder prepared the site to receive concrete, and they put in basically a 4-inch concrete floor with a 10-foot extension pad at the front of the pole barn. This is something that I would definitely recommend. Get the largest extension pad you can get in front of your pole barn. It makes a great area to work on and to kind of stage everything when you're coming in and out of the building. This particular builder, they do their own concrete work, and so everything was kind of like a one cost package sort of deal. I was able to stamp the corner of the concrete pad. I made a stamp out of a piece of plywood and some wooden letters. Hot glue gunned it together, and then I used this stamp to go ahead and mark the concrete to celebrate the construction date. Are you enjoying the show? Well, do me a favor. Would you hit the like button and also subscribe? Spread the word about MotorCity Boat Works. No BS, just boats and restoration. With the concrete pad in place, now pretty much everything was ready to go. The guy set to work putting in the insulation. So it's R19 on the sidewalls and it's R 36 on the ceiling. And all that was quickly sealed up with barn liner. They did an amazing job. All of the corners and everything were really tight. These guys really did very good work. It was time to get the garage door put on. And this ultimately proved to be the biggest hassle for the entire construction project. The builder sourced the garage door. They didn't give me any options for choosing what type of garage door I wanted or what properties it should have beyond much more than choosing the placement of the windows. Later on, I realized this was a mistake, and it's one of the lessons that I learned. We'll talk about that later. I knew I wanted to have finished floors inside the shop, and I did a lot of research about different sorts of floor coatings and what might fit my budget and suit my purposes. I ultimately ended up choosing just an epoxy floor, and it's turned out to be great. The product on my floor, I think, is called Norclad 200, and I got many estimates from local epoxy floor specialists and finally found a company that had reasonable prices with a reasonable guarantee. I've been extremely happy with the epoxy floor. It's super clean, very low maintenance, and if there's ever a problem where I drop something and nick the floor or damage it, I have repair epoxy where I can touch everything up. When I was designing my workshop, I envisioned a super bright workspace. You know, something that was like an art studio, white light everywhere. And I thought maybe I would have white floors just to reflect as much light as possible onto the various work surfaces. I was cautioned by my floor guy, listen, don't put white on the floor. It's going to be a nightmare to try and keep it clean. Instead, he recommended a light gray. And I got to tell you, it's turned out to be one of the best decisions so far. The light gray doesn't show all the dirt, but it reflects a tremendous amount of light. If you want white floors inside your shop, but you're concerned about having to keep them clean, the next best choice is a very, very light gray. With the overhead lighting that I have inside here, plus the white pole barn liner on the walls, it almost looks white when I'm working inside the shop. Overhead, I installed 16 sets of LED strip lighting. Each light is 10,000 lumens, so that's how I get 160,000 lumens of light inside my shop. It's one of the best decisions I made. When you're inside the shop, it's like daytime, and it doesn't matter what time of day it is outside. I spec'd and purchased all the lights off of Amazon. I purchased more lights than what I needed so that I have replacements in case they go bad over time. But now, almost 2 years running, I've had no problems and they've been super reliable. The electrical for the workshop, well, this was one of the biggest expenses. I hired an electrician to come to the shop and install the outlets, run the sub panel, and then also run a line back to the house so it all can be fed off my main panel in the house. I have 120, 240 inside the shop, although all the outlets and almost everything I'm running is just 120. I had them create a number of different circuits so that I would be able to kind of have different tools running on different circuits so that nothing was ever overloaded. I think I have like A, B, C, and D circuits, and where D is actually the heater in the shop, C is the compressor, and then A and B are alternating between the tools that I have throughout the shop. I don't use anything that's three-phase, and I don't have anything that's really kind of commercial quality. Everything I have is 120. It works fine. The biggest part of the electrical job was doing the trenching 70 feet from the house to bring the power to the actual workshop. The first winter with the workshop, I used a kerosene kind of jet heater, 95,000 BTU floor jet kerosene heater. And while it would warm up the inside of the workshop, it just wouldn't keep it warm. It was extremely loud and it really smelled. It was a diesel heater. All this led to me deciding to have heat installed inside the shop so that I'd be able to work throughout the winter. It was just too uncomfortable coming out in the shop, trying to warm everything up to do a couple hours of work and then have to leave again. It made me kind of dread having to go out to the shop during the winter months. So I had a heater put in for Christmas 2022. It's a 75,000 BTU Resnor heater. It runs off of propane since we're on propane where I live. I keep the shop set at about 45 degrees. That's as low as the thermostat goes. And the heater will cycle on and off to kind of maintain that temperature. Then when I come out to the shop about 15 minutes before I'm ready to start work, I bump the temperature up to about 50 degrees. And it takes about 15 minutes to warm the entire shop. I've gone around with an infrared thermometer gun and kind of checked all the surfaces, metal, fiberglass, tool cabinets, everything. And lo and behold, the temperature is holding right at 50 degrees. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, if I wanted to, I could bump that thermostat up and I could have this thing be about 60 degrees or more in 30 minutes. The permanently installed heater, that was an extra expense, but I'm here to tell you, it was absolutely worth it. I relied on the heating specialist to kind of tell me what size I should put in here. And then we actually sized up one size more because it was only a couple $100 more. The garage door has an overhead commercial garage door opener, another added expense. While you can lift the garage door by yourself, it gets a little old after a while. And frankly, it can be a little cumbersome. The electric garage door is just fantastic. The only downside is because the door is 16 by 16, it's got to be a commercial unit, an added expense. The shelves up high on either side of the workshop, those are from a company called New Age Cabinets. They make high-end workshop cabinets, but they also make shelves that I think look really sharp. On one side of the workshop, I've got 32 linear feet of shelving that's about 2 foot wide, placed at about 12 feet tall. On the other side of the workshop, I've got 16 linear feet of shelving for boat parts, set at about 14 feet tall. Now, these shelves are kind of expensive. They can run about $300 for an 8-foot section. But if you look around, especially on Amazon, occasionally you'll see them getting rid of extra inventory, and they can be as much as 50% off. In Michigan, when you have a pole barn this big and you have such a large metal roof, you really got to plan for how you're going to deal with your water drainage. Significant rain or snow on the roof, well, it just sheds right off, and it can really play havoc with the landscape and the area around the building. I had commercial 6-inch rain gutters put in to ensure that everything drained properly. This was another added expense. Every couple of months, I save up a little bit of money and I order a load of gravel. The gravel is 21 AA limestone, 1.5 inches down to fines. And what the fines means is that it's really fine particles, so it packs down real nice and makes a very, very hard surface. I wanted to be sure that I would be able to get the boat in and out of the boatyard on the triple axle trailer. And in fact, I've had trucks weighing 20,000 pounds or more come down the hill and had no problems whatsoever. I'm very appreciative. Someone pointed out that the shop is just awesome. But now the question is, what is the price of awesomeness? If you've been following along, maybe you've been keeping notes. If not, let me run the tally for the butcher's bill. So we're talking about $6,000 for excavation, $44,000 for the building, $2,000 for the epoxy floor, $500 for lights, $9,000 for the electrical hookup, $4,500 for the heater, $1,200 for the garage door opening, $600 for shelves, $1,200 for commercial gutters and $1,000 for gravel for the boatyard. It brings us to a grand total of $70,000. That is the price of awesomeness. Well, there you have it. Another great episode. I'm really glad you stopped by. I hope you get as much out of these videos as I get the enjoyment of simply making them. If you're like me, you probably scoured the internet. You searched all over YouTube. You were looking for good content on boat building, boat restoration, shop time. Please spread the word. You know, we've almost reached 1,000 subscribers on the channel, and our next goal is to get over 4,000 hours of viewing. You can help me by simply clicking on the playlist for the Albin 27 restoration. Let the episodes play. It all counts toward the channel hours, and it helps me make more and better episodes for you. If you have a question for me, please leave a comment below or contact me via the MotorCity Boatworks website. The email is listed on the description and my YouTube channel. Thank you, and have a great week. If you like these videos, please hit the subscribe button. These videos would not be possible without your support.